Hi everyone, welcome to my art channel. This week I wanted to do an illustration of the Little Mermaid from the animated Disney cartoon, and I thought, well, I first need to do studies, and I first need to draw the Little Mermaid to understand, what the subject is. And you can tell through the sketchbook pages that I was drawing mermaids, and I thought, well, I don't think I did enough studies. I need to do more. So I decided to film, and for this video I will simply be doing a bunch of Ariel studies. Her face, her expressions, and her hair, which is, her signature look. Hope you guys had a good week. This week was different. Minnie, the poodle that I have that we rescued a few months ago, it was time for her to have her girl surgery. And she also had a baby tooth that would not come out naturally. So when she was under, one of her baby teeth that was in the way of her adult teeth had to also be removed. So at the beginning of this video, you see her in a cone because she's recovering. She is not allowed to exercise or do much moving because she's in recovery. But she is getting better. She just needs a week or so to feel a little better. What I did was I went on Instagram and looked at some pictures, and then I went to Pinterest and looked at some pictures. And picked out ones that I thought were cute, that I liked, either facial expressions or composition, the way that she was either sitting or different facial expressions. On the left-hand side, I was using my favorite mechanical pencil, and it had some lead in it that I think was either old, it was probably old, or it was more dry. It wasn't as oily, and you can tell from the left side to the right side that the richness of the pencil lines is very different. On the left side, it's very light. It's much more light. Whereas on the right hand side, every line was darker. And it was easier to blend. It was more oily. So what happened was I ran out of lead in the mechanical pencil. Then I reached for more lead, and whatever lead I had was different in how oily it was and how dark it came out. So you can really tell a difference from side to side. How much richer the color was coming out on the right hand side. So in this video, I was thinking, well, what do I talk about? Well, I made actually a list of the reasons why I like The Little Mermaid, the animated Disney cartoon, and how different it is from the Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid, or the Little Sea Maid, the original Little Mermaid from 1837. So first I wanted to talk about why I like The Little Mermaid. Everybody has different reasons why they like The Little Mermaid. When I was in preschool, I was obsessed with wooden ships, old wooden ships, mostly because my dad encouraged me to read Treasure Island when I was little. And when I found out about pirates and how awesome their life is, where they go out and they explore and they find treasure, and of course, this is the censored, child version of what pirates are. We've turned them into these benign, fun, quirky outlaws. It's not anything like pirates in actual history or real life. But the censored version, the fun, cartoony version, to me as a kid, I loved Treasure Island. I loved wooden ships. I loved the idea of traveling on the ocean, going somewhere where we've never been before, no one's ever been before, and you get to explore it. You get to find new places and caverns and waterfalls, and maybe there's treasure. I'm also a big fan of The Goonies. It's an old movie about little kids and how they have their own treasure, or how they have their own adventure looking for treasure, and they have a treasure map. But anyway, I'm not going to give away the story. It's really good. At least I like it. The Goonies. And so anyway, so the reason why I like The Little Mermaid is because that mystery of the ocean, of the underwater world, the different creatures that we still haven't explored and haven't found and haven't classified and haven't observed. There's something really intriguing about it. Sometimes you get stuck in the mundane and the familiar, and that the ocean reminds us that there's mystery and danger and wonder underneath the ocean. And that's one of the reasons why I very much like The Little Mermaid. And of course the music, the songs are unbeatable from the animated Disney version. Her gorgeous hair, who doesn't love her hair? And also the fact that as an animated character, she almost looks like an acrobat underwater, because she gets to do all of these physical maneuvers with her fishtail that only acrobats get to do on land, and how smooth the motion is. So another reason why I like The Little Mermaid is that she is, to me, at least I perceive her this way, to be the most cheerful of the princesses in the Disney collection of princess movies. She comes off very cheerful, optimistic, very happy. Not a content happy, more like an excited happy. She's thrilled and excited and very, very cheerful, and that's very appealing in her character. She's also a collector. She has her own secret location. She's an explorer, and those are some of the things that I very much like about The Little Mermaid. Now, I was aware of the original Little Sea Maid, and that the story is very different in the original. And so I've already I was already aware of that story before I saw the Little Mermaid Disney version. And I like both because I don't know how much you guys know about the Hans Christian Andersen story, but it's very different. In the story, you can look it up on Wikipedia, she is very curious about humans and the life above, and she has a grandmother. She asks her grandmother if humans live forever because in the Hans Christian Andersen story, mermaids lived 300 years. They have very long lifespans underwater. And after those 300 years, they turn into sea foam and they cease to exist, but they get to have 300 years. So she asked her grandmother about the longevity of humans, and her grandmother said, humans don't live as long as we do, mer people do. But humans have an immortal soul, and after death, the soul, the immortal soul of the human, goes to heaven. And Little Mermaid was very, very interested in that. And when she makes the deal to go and live on land and get human feet or human legs, she is warned by the witch, by the sea witch, that she won't succeed, that the prince won't love her. And her time on Earth with the prince liked her a lot, and he viewed her as a pet, and she was with him on all his outings, and she was kind of his tail, like she'd follow him around. This is according to the story. And finally, he does not fall in love with her. He falls in love with another young woman who is a princess, who he credited, he thought that she had saved him instead of the Little Mermaid. Anyway, in the end, I'm going to read to you just a short description of what happens to the Little Mermaid when she fails and she knows she'll turn into sea foam. Her sisters, she has sisters in this story, they cut their hair, they sacrifice their beauty to bring her a dagger from the sea witch, and they tell her that her only chance to reverse, the outcome of her failure, the prince doesn't love her, and to prevent her from dying and turning into sea foam, is if she takes a dagger that they brought, which is magical, and if she kills the prince. But she couldn't do it because she loved him and he was happy with someone else. He was married. And so she couldn't do it. And when I'm going to read now what happens to the Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid can't bring herself to kill the sleeping prince lying with his new wife, and she throws the dagger and herself off the ship into the water just as dawn breaks. Her body dissolves into foam, but instead of ceasing to exist, she feels the warm sun and discovers that she has turned into a luminous and ethereal earthbound spirit, a daughter of the air. As the Little Mermaid ascends into the atmosphere, she is greeted by other daughters who tell her she has become like them because she strove with all her heart to obtain an immortal soul. Because of the Little Mermaid's sacrifice, she's given a chance to do good deeds for all her lifespan, the 300 years like mer people, and she will receive her soul and rise up into heaven when her lifespan ends. So that is very, very different. The Disney version gives her the prince and a happy ending and marital bliss, and we could probably assume a wonderful life. But the original, it was as if she demonstrated a greater love, where she loved the prince and she was happy to she did not become envious or spiteful or jealous or bitter that she failed, or that he wasn't interested in her. And instead, her love was unselfish. Her love was unselfish. She let him go. She didn't pursue him further or try to break them up, or she didn't continue obsessing. She let him go, and she did not take the dagger. She did not kill him. And instead, and that sacrifice, her love, even though it wasn't returned, the fact that she remained positive and she wasn't selfish and she wasn't bitter. A lot of times heartbreak like that can turn a person very bitter. So instead, she was rewarded by becoming basically an air elemental or an air spirit, where she gets to influence the world for 300 years. She gets to do good works and good deeds for 300 years, and then she gets her immortal soul and she gets to go to heaven. And I think that's such a beautiful story. Such a beautiful story of sacrifice and yeah, it's interesting because the Little Mermaid, or just mermaids in general, they're sirens, and from stories and lore, they were actually not good characters. They would sing to drown sailors, or confuse the captains and the sailors in charge, and to crash, to cause them to crash their ships against rocks and cliffs, and to basically cause the demise of the entire crew. So the fact that Hans Christian Andersen, he changed our view of mermaids and turned her into a vessel to teach us that love, unselfish love, will always be rewarded. Maybe not in this life, but after. And I think that's really, really beautiful. On the right-hand side, where I'm drawing the head of this version of the Little Mermaid, I really didn't like it. It turned out too dark, and the makeup turned out really dark, and I had to fix it. But it turned out in a way that I didn't like. So I was trying to erase and lighten it up a bit. And as you can tell, I had to use a piece of paper to protect the page from smudging, because this lead would smudge so much easier. Another thing that I think the Disney version of the cartoon does a great job is, for little children especially, when you're little, sometimes kids throw tantrums and they say, I'm going to run away, I'm going to pack all my stuff and leave. And little kids do that, you know, to be taught a lesson that their home is loving, and there's a reason why parents have to place boundaries for their children and say, no, you can't have a bag of candy for dinner. There's restrictions as you're growing, and they're for your benefit. But I think what The Little Mermaid accomplishes also is we are presented with this magical, unbelievable creature, half human, half fish, and she is just mesmerized by the human world. And to us, it's mundane. We don't think about walking. We don't think about all the wonderful things we get to enjoy on the surface and just in life. But because she doesn't get to experience any of that, she values it and she yearns for it. She wants to know what that's like. What is it like to dance? What is it like to walk? What is it like to breathe air and be in the sun at all time and not dry up? And I think that's one of the things that this cartoon accomplishes too, is that it shows us the opinion of a magical creature who thinks the human world is wonderful, and that humans create wonderful things and we build wonderful things, and we have fun activities and we dance and we have civilization has so many wonderful, interesting things. Back to the drawing on the right hand side, I couldn't decide what to put into that little space on the page, so I saw that some were drawing anime versions of little Ariel, and so I tried to do a little anime face of Ariel where her eyes are spaced apart quite a bit, and she does look like a fish. She looks like a fish there. And in this drawing, I was using a white highlighter. No, it's not a highlighter. It's if I can find it. It's basically just a white ink pen to do the highlights for the eyes. I don't have it near me. One of them is a Uniball Signo, Signo 153, that I was using for the highlights for the eyes and the tip of the nose and the lips. And there we are. We did a bunch of studies of Ariel. Her face, a little bit of her body, her beautiful hair. And thank you guys for watching. Please come back for more videos. Bye!